Hey everybody, this is Stan Wanglund and welcome to Just Thinking 2022. Hey, it's the 6th of February and I'm just looking in the camera. Boy, I'll tell you, it's 9 degrees here in New York. I just got out of the shower and I even put some little product in my hair and I get those dry gray wispies, man. I got to do something about that. I'll have to go get my hair cut on Monday or Tuesday here. Get a little trim job. But I hope you had a nice weekend so far. I love this horrible weather that's freezing cold because I'm Scandinavian. So sorry. I love it. Hey, I've knocked off my first 10 shows on the new Just Thinking 2022. In terms of us getting prepared to have a number of shows for new platforms and everything else like that. So I appreciate those folks who've been listening to the shows, giving some feedback, having some views and things like that. And man, it's been fun doing this. I took a couple of days off. There's so many things out there. I have some great shows because some stuff, I'm a great researcher and stuff that I like to look at in the world around us. Some of the things which a lot of people know or think they know about, including me, and many things from a different slant that it'll make the hairs on your head stand up. I have one today. If you've ever thought of becoming a god or you're dissatisfied with the deity that you're currently worshiping, if you do worship one, that kind of stuff. Boy, I was looking at a wonderful insider journal or paper for people on technology and everything called Fast Company. They're really, really very good, and they talk about tech trends and everything else. And one of the things that I saw had to do with creating your own deities, amongst other things. And it's like, wow, with all the other things out there. And man, I got some great shows on different tech trends that I've been following for years and how they are out there further than I ever expected. And this is really the real deal from insider kinds of journals and papers that are talking about advertising plans, CEO reports, and things like that. So it's fairly reliable information to be sure And the stuff that's out there, when I've told you about AI and artificial reality and artificial intelligence and virtual reality and people tracking you and people playing with your head in a million ways, man, the stuff I've been thinking about is like Winnie the Pooh compared to this stuff. I'll give you an example. One of the things I'll be talking about on shows is people who will be, the plans are in the works is for people to be enhancing their capabilities in their human bodies by having robotic components added to it. I don't mean when you get your arm blown off. I'm talking about people doing that by choice. Now, if you've been watching Boba Fett, like I have been, on the Disney Channel, the Star Wars kind of continuation by Jean Favreau, uh, and the Mandalorian stuff, you'll see that part of Boba Fett's band of helpful enforcers are these kind of millennials of the time who have willingly replaced their body parts with some robotic parts, so you get this hybrid kind of thing. Man, this is on the friggin' agenda, pal. Big time, big time. Anyway, some interesting shows that are going to be upcoming this week. These tech trends, I'm going to be doing several of them over the next few weeks, but also some things on, when are people going to really start coping with some things? I'm not talking about self-help stuff with coping like I've done before, but just some impressions on coping and coaching and therapists and a lot of different things that I see going on with people. I want to do a show on this division we seem to be having with people now, where everybody sees themselves as a victim or an oppressor, that they fall into these two camps. Forget about Republicans and Democrats or rich and poor. It's like you're either a victim or an oppressor in every single scenario imaginable. And there's no middle ground. There's no rational thinking about anything from two sides, for a vast number of people. Uh, the other thing, I hope I'm not doing that, but I have on occasion, the politics of gloom. I saw a terrific article in the New York Times, which really said it all, because I was reading some stuff by the famous psychologist and scientist, Steven Pinker, who was talking about the fact that in 2022, people forget it, the world is a better place than it's ever been. Even with COVID, even with Putin at the borders, even with unrest civilly and all these other things. It's a great show. and some interesting things. And, these are some of the shows that I have up and coming. But today's show, I'm going to keep under 10 minutes because there was an interesting thing I saw in one of the shows that I used to like, but I really can't stomach anymore, is Bill Maher's show, Real Time. He's a real disappointment. I don't mean by his point of view. He's just changeable and slanted, and he's just like a money-grubbing old fart who thinks he's woke. And it just gets me sick sometimes with that stuff. He has good information, he's not a newscaster, he's a comedian and everything, but he takes himself a little bit too seriously. He does, some things, but he has interesting people on there, and he had a great guy on there, and you should watch it this week for him, who talks about people's inability to have focus on things. They cannot focus. And anybody who's taught in college like I have, or worked in psychology, or worked with people who are developmentally disabled, or in the educational system, or you've worked in advertising, anything like that, man, people just don't, everything has to be boom, done, over. People are on that damn cell phone. Not that that's a problem. I hate texting on a cell phone. It's so stupid. Just call me on the phone and I'll talk to you. If you want to be short, we'll be short. We'll get it done. No. And I fail to realize why, people are texting, not just so they can cut me off or anybody else, because they're talking to 26 people at the same time. And this is basically what the research shows. And it's making people crazy. It makes them upset. It makes them, not be disconnected. And they think they're multitasking and everything, and they're not doing a lot of their jobs very well. And, people don't read books anymore because they can't, not everybody, but many people, because they can't pay attention to them for the period of time. So anyway, that's that's one of the kind of things that tie into all these kind of technological things we're looking at. But today's show, and while I've got a couple minutes left here, is when I was looking at these different trends, these tech trends that are that are out there that I want to do shows on. I saw this thing on an article by a guy who's the editor of the California Review of Images and Mark Zuckerberg, with all the stuff with the metaverse and everything else. His name is Tim Hwang. And he's the author of, of a book called A Subprime Attention Crisis. And it was kind of tied into this other thing. And I said, wow, this is very interesting. And as I'm reading this stuff, I'm saying, holy Christ, look at this, how it's, even in terms of religion, how crazy are people getting? And I just wanted to throw it out there. If you want to become a god, man, you can do it now. And another crazy kind of thing that goes under the premise of a game, but I think it's destroying the fabric of a lot of people's humanity. And what does Hwang say? He says as the world becomes, in his own words, becomes ever more uncertain in 2022, technology will increasingly become the locus of fantasy, escapism, and those kind of things. And what really is out there that people like him in the know are out there looking at, two trends are set to expand in the coming years. And actually, he says in the coming year. The first is technology as cult infrastructure. Now, what the hell does that mean? It means that you're going to have things like this tungsten cube thing, which is a big tungsten cube, and people, it's one of these NFTs, these things that people buy, but don't really possess, and you get a period of time to hang out with the tungsten cube, as crazy as it is. I find it hard to even explain, but it's something that people do. It's kind of like a worshiping cult following. The other thing is called religiously skinned tokenism. What the hell does that mean? Well, I would love you to go to a site called God. It's called GAWDS.xyz. And it's a site that it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I actually tried to, I looked at the site, and you can check it out. It's hard to even understand what it is. It appears to be, it appears to be a game. And when you go on their site, you can get it on Twitter. It's called at Crypto Gods. That's another site you can go to on Twitter. It says it's the first holographic NFT collection of unique occult beings built for games and contract extensions. What the hell does that mean? And when you go to the site, it's the nuttiest thing that you will ever see in your life. You've got 10,000 uniquely generated beings. They're holographic exports, it says. And it says, and you can influence these on future mechanics. What the heck does that mean? So you call up this holograph. You have to load up these things, and you call up this holograph, and then you can start doing things like creating a realm. And it's got all these things on here. These crazy terms: auras and oculus, accent, conveyance, all these crazy procedures where you get involved with these gods or you create these gods, and then you develop these holy formats, and you have battles and so on and so forth. You augment these things. You have offerings. You create mini gods. You have worship opportunities. I don't even know how much this costs or whatever you do. And they say that it's a living roadmap. What we build is influenced by our devout worshipers. So I guess that's supposed to be comical or whatever. How many people are going to take this, where they take it somewhat seriously? So what's the roadmap? You start off with God assets. You have Unity generation systems developed, God pre-orders. It says sold out. So yeah, there must be money. You start daily Twitter and Discord giveaways. God summoning has begun. You have merchandise. So again, there's money involved that. And it goes on and on and on. And then you have rare gods are auctioned for charity. So there's more money involved in that. And then it's got crazy stuff like you can go for worshiper guidance, game mechanics, and how you can contribute. Join us in releasing open source tools to help blockchain and NFT development for gaming, which means that with the NFT, I guess you have to purchase these things. How do you become a worshiper? I mean, really. Now, I'm not saying people shouldn't have games, or you can't have a game that's about religion or deity or anything else like that. Maybe I'm showing my age on this. Number one, I've spent about an hour on this stuff, trying to figure it out, and I guess I'm like my parents when they couldn't figure out the how to work the remote control on the TV years ago. I don't think I'm ignorant when it comes to technology, but this stuff is like trying to really to bust out cryptocurrency and what it really means with the blockchaining and all the other kinds of things, and what are the units and what do they really mean. And it's like this tremendous Ponzi scheme or something like that. Anything that's this complicated is it's wacky. Well, I shouldn't say it's wacky, but to me it appears to be wacky. Now, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's very interesting. And these are the directions that technology is pushing us. And these are the directions, folks, that we're pushing ourselves. With a lot of the things I was talking about before about inability to cope with things, seeing ourselves as victims or oppressors, the politics of gloom is, all that kind of stuff, crazy trends that separate us from people. I mean, if you could look at the actual real information that's out there on human relations right now, it's frightening. The relationship, between men and women being very down in many ways of intimate relationships, crazy stuff with pornography on the rise, AI sexual partners and robotics and those. I mean, just crazy stuff that at a point in time, people could say, wow, wouldn't that be crazy, or isn't that funny, isn't that wacky or something? But now it's like every kind of wacky thought that people can have, they're not just taking it out there, man. They're taking it out in spades. I mean, this is, I know that the gamers get very intense with these crazy things, and this may be just another version of one of those games, but to me, man, it feels really wrong. It's not on a religious, like, it just feels kind of crazy that human beings would spend their time doing this kind of stuff to this level of intensity. But there seems to be a big cultural shift, and that's what Just Thinking is about. And it's just what I'm thinking about. Or I'm saying, wow, no wonder why when you get on Facebook or Twitter or any other kind of thing, you're seeing 26,000 ads for medications 400 million ads for people who are, I'll be your coach, I'll be your counselor, I'll work out, become a health coach. Because I mean, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, people feel so uh, unable to live their lives. They feel so sick all the time, so gloomy all the time, so put upon. Or they're making up these crazy Facebook fantasy lives, everything's great, yeah, it's perfect. I mean, whatever happened to just the living life? Everybody's life has some common features to it, it seems, and a lot of features are different for individuals. You cope with the ups and downs of things. Everybody's not the same. But maybe I'm just an old guy, and that's just what I'm thinking. On the other hand, maybe the warning bells that I see on that, or some of the observations, or maybe partially spot on, or totally spot on. So, anyway, interesting stuff. Check out that God site. See what you think about it. Is it just a harmless little game that old Stan has misinterpreted? I think not. Very, very strange, and I bet you anybody listening to this hasn't heard of that at all, or had no idea that anything like that is out there. But it is, man. And boy, that's just one area. Any kind of crazy thought you could think of, there's something wacky like this out there. The other thing, by the way, and I went a couple minutes over on the show here today, but please forgive me, as popular as this are now astrology apps, or calling into tarot readers and all kinds of things like that. And I mean, figure it out, man. People are looking for all these crazy external sources to escape to not interact with the real world, to get answers from other people about things they should be working on themselves, if they have the capability to do that, or looking for all these outdated, mystical Nostradamus bullshit kinds of things, by getting computer-generated, AI-generated, astrology readings, which all the shit is programmed in there, and it looks like it's individualized. It's no different than psychologists who are so bogus when they use report writers. I've always been against those when you've seen them, and what they are is it's a template, and you put in information, and the report writer, basically writes the psychological report in the format for you and changes the sentences here and there, so you can't be accused of writing canned reports, and just presents the interpreted data that you loaded in there in a certain set way. So it's like a preloaded program. Each report isn't individualized. It's just done like that. So those astrology things are the same way. But people are buying that crap every minute. And people are getting reports written on them, or were getting reports written on them, or will get reports written on them that are generated that way. So it's a lot of wild stuff out there. So I hope you enjoyed today's show, and I will see you with several other shows this week. So I hope you find them interesting. So stay warm, stay safe, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.